Good day, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. Today we will be analyzing the play called The Tempest by William Shakespeare. It was performed in the early 17th century. The play takes place on the mysterious island and it uncovers how reality can be shaped through power, magic, and illusion. Therefore, in our presentation, we will be focusing on the main three themes, which are illusion and reality, power and control, as well as magic and supernatural. Collectively, these themes demonstrate how characters are controlled, shaped, and influenced throughout the play. My name is Pontsho and I'll be focusing on the theme of magic and supernatural.
My name is Zimbini and I'll be focusing on power and control.
And I'm Zimbini, I'll be focusing on illusion and reality.
As I mentioned that I will focus on illusion versus reality. The play opens with violent storm that appears natural and dangerous. And you learn that storm is illusion, created by prosperous magic. This tells that the appearance can be misleading sometimes. I quote, "All lost to prayers, all lost." Act 1, Scene 1, line 52 to line 51.
Since your theme is illusion and reality, how would you say Prospero uses illusion to control other characters?
Prospero uses magic to create illusion like storm, music, and the disappearing banquet. And these control how other characters feel and act. For example, he make Ferdinand believe that his father is dead and make him emotional. Furthermore, Ferdinand believes Antonio is dead because of magical music and vision created by Ariel. This shows that illusion can manipulate emotions and can cause sadness. I quote, "Full fathom fight, thy father lies, of his bones a coral made those apples that were his eyes." Act 1, Scene 1. The banquet was free, there were no real food, it was just a magic. I quote, "You are three men of sin." Act 3, Scene 3. Moreover, reality slowly reveals itself. Beneath this illusion, Prospero is not just a powerful magician, he is a man seeking justice and control after being betrayed. I quote, "I have with such provision in mind, art so safely ordered that there is no soul, no, not so much petition, has an hair beaten to any creature in the vessels." Act 1, Scene 2. When we look at illusion in modern life, on apps like Facebook and TikTok, people often show perfect edited versions of their lives. This is like Prospero's storm. It looks real, but it was created. To add, fake news and misinformation, online false information spread quickly and can make people believe things that are not true. Just like Ferdinand believed his father is dead. Political speeches and promises can create hope. Illusion, it seems everything is improving. Reality, many communities still face challenges like unemployment and service delivery issues.
So, according to you, can you say illusion reveals the truth or it only deceives?
It does both. For example, magical banquet disappears and Ariel appears happy, which shocks Alonso, Sebastian, and Antonio. This forces them to reveal the truth about their past betrayal of Prospero. To conclude, The Tempest Shakespeare shows that illusion comes out in the same way in our modern world, especially in South Africa. Things may look perfect on the outside, but the truth is often different. This teaches us to question what we see and always look to appear under what is real.
Oh, okay, I completely agree with you.
As I mentioned earlier on that I'll be focusing on power and control. Power and control is not simple about authority. It is about who controls others, how control is maintained, and whether control is justifiable. Prospero, at the center of the theme, displays various forms of magical, psychological, and political powers. From the start of the play, Prospero establishes his dominance through the storm. Although the storm seems natural, but it's all carefully planned out. This is evident in Act 1, Scene 2. I quote, "Have with such provision in mind art, so safely order." This line is important because it shows Prospero's power is deliberate and calculated. The storm is not chaotic as it seems. It is controlled. Although Prospero's authority expands beyond nature, he also controls individuals, specifically Ariel, Caliban, Miranda, and Ferdinand.
Before you continue, how do you think these characters are controlled by Prospero?
Thank you so much for your question. Firstly, his relationship with Ariel is formed based on conditional freedom. He always reminds Ariel of past suffering to enforce obedience. In Act 1, Scene 2, I quote, "Dost thou forget from what a tournament I did free thee?" Here, power operates psychologically, right? Prospero does not rely on force alone. He manipulates memory and gratitude to control Ariel. However, Prospero's control over Caliban is more oppressive. Caliban challenges Prospero's authority by asserting ownership of island. In Act 1, Scene 2, I quote, "This island mine, which thou hast from me." Yet Caliban exposes violence behind that control. Each language becomes a tool of power, as Caliban in Act 1, Scene 2 states, and I quote, "You taught me language, and my profit on is I know how to curse." This suggests that system of control can unintentionally create resistance. Although Caliban is oppressed, he is not powerless. He resists through speech. This moment shows colonial dimension of power, where control is linked to land, domination, and language. Prospero justifies his rule by representing Caliban as uncivilized person.
I have a question.
Okay, ma'am.
What does Prospero's control over relationships like Miranda and Ferdinand reveal about nature and power in The Tempest?
Yes, that's a very good question actually.
Thank you so much, ladies. Another important dimension of power in The Tempest is how Prospero controls not just actions, bodies, and land, but also relationships and emotions, right? Particularly in the case of Miranda and Ferdinand. At first glance, their relationship appears natural and romantic. However, it is carefully orchestrated by Prospero. He ensures that they meet under obstacles. For example, when Ferdinand declares his love for Miranda, he interrupts him and accuses him, I quote, "A thing divine for nothing natural, ever so noble," in Act 1, Scene 2. Ultimately, Miranda and Ferdinand's union serve Prospero's large plan of restoring political order. Their love is genuine, but it is also strategically controlled, reminding us that power in The Tempest operates even in moments that seems personal and emotional. I think I answered your question. Yes,
Okay,
thank you. Well, we have come to the end of my analysis for power and control. Tempest shows us that power is complex, right? Prospero's control, though often manipulative, but ultimately leads to forgiveness and redemption. Shakespeare's play reminds us that power lies not in domination, but in mercy and letting go.
And last but not least, we'll be focusing on the theme of magic and supernatural. In the play, magic plays a very important role because it what gives Prospero his powers. For example, at the beginning of the play, Prospero uses magic to create a strong stone that causes the shipwreck. And it all led to his enemies being on the island where he wanted them to be. This shows how he can control events using magic. And it also tells us that he is the one that controls the island, and everything that happens there happens all because of him. And another important part of the play is supernatural, which is represented by Ariel. Ariel is a spirit that works for Prospero. He is the one that helps Prospero carry out all his plans. And for example, he can create music, be invisible, as well as to confuse people. I will quote from the play in Act 1, Scene 2, where Ariel says, "I come to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the cold clouds, to thy strong mighty task, Ariel and all his quality." This shows that Ariel can do almost anything, even things that are not human. And it also shows that Ariel is always ready to obey Prospero at all costs. And Ariel uses music to lead the characters all around the island. And they follow the music even though they do not understand where it comes from. This shows that magic can also be used to influence people's thoughts and actions. And it is not only limited to controlling their physical movement. The people are being guided on the island without them even realizing. We also see Prospero's power through his use of magic on Caliban. Caliban is half human, half monster. He is forced to obey Prospero. Caliban himself states in the play in Act 1, Scene 2, he says, "I must obey. His art is of such power. It will control my dance god, the Setebos, and make all the vessel of him." This shows that Prospero's magic is so strong that even Cannibal himself feels that he has no other choice but to obey Prospero. Personally, I think this part of the play is very important because it shows how power can be abused and be used in unfair ways. Prospero does not only use his magic to protect himself, but he also uses it to dominate and to control other people. Yes. What is more interesting is that towards the end of the play, Prospero decides to give up his magic. He says, I quote from the play, "I'll break my staff. I'll bury it certain fathom in the earth and deeper than it did ever plummet sound. I'll drown my brook." These are the tools that he used for his magic. And this suggests that having too much power is not always a good thing. To conclude, if we bring this thing into modern life, we can compare magic with power in today's world. Today, people do not necessarily use magic, but they are still able to have control over other people somehow.
Okay, I hear you saying that people are able to control others, though it's not through magic. Can you please elaborate on that?
Let's take politics for example. Leaders use their power to influence people's decisions. They can control information, create fear, as well as to make promises in order to gain people's support. Let's take the ANC party as an example. They have been in power for many years, and because of that, they have strong influence over laws, politics, policies, as well as national decisions. This does not mean that they use magic, but their power is able to shape how other people act. In that way, we can say that power in politics is similar to Prospero's magic. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
We have come to the end of our podcast. What I covered earlier on about power is that power in the template is all about control, and letting go is the ultimate move.
And illusion can hide the truth and make things seem different from what they are. But in the end, reality always appears and shows what is really true.
Magic and Supernatural shows how Prospero uses his power to control events and influence other people. However, when he gives up his magic, the play suggests that true strength comes from forgiveness rather than controlling others. Thank you. Thank you for staying this far. See you on the next one. Bye! Our girls.